Hello, digital artists. Here we are again. Today we're going to work on a project that cuts up an image and makes it look like multiple photographs that kind of create the image by working together. So you're going to need an image of yourself, somebody you care about, an animal, just a person or animal that is mostly from the front angle. And you can see that my example here is not it's not straight on, but it's mostly from the front and it is cropped close to the face. So if you have an image that is kind of further out, that's fine, but you're going to want to crop it down. Remove your background using whatever technique you feel is most appropriate and works most effectively, and then give it a background color of your choice. So here's my background layer. I might experiment with this color a little bit. Maybe get myself kind of a greenish aqua color. Sure, why not? Okay, so when you have the color that you want, you're going to select both of these layers by holding Shift and clicking both. Right click, go to Merge Layers, and now it will have just one layer. You will be fused with your colored background. You can call this layer Me if it's a selfie. You can call it Subject if it's something else, just something that you can continue to refer back to. So the next thing I'm going to do is go up to View. I'm going to click on Rulers, and what that does, you will see a ruler appear on the top as well as down the left-hand side. And this is, I think, defaulted to pixels as a unit, which is fine. You can keep it that way. As you zoom in or out, you will be able to see the actual number of pixels across a little bit better. So from here, you're going to give yourself a couple of what's called guidelines. So if I go to View and Show, come down here to Guides, make sure that that's checked. You don't have to click it if it is checked. But what you're going to do is bring your cursor to sit right on top of the ruler, click, hold, and drag down. That's going to give you kind of an aqua colored line. Once you release your mouse click, then it will stay there. You're going to do that twice. And you're going to divide your image into thirds. So you've got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Now I welcome you to take a close look at what the exact measure is of your image and divide it into 3. You're welcome to do that for a really precise division. But if you're pretty good at eyeballing, then you can eyeball it too. I'm not going to be actually like counting pixels to see if you are precise. So I'm going to go over here to the left ruler and do the same thing. Click and hold and drag it across. And divide my image into thirds vertically as well. And if you don't like where you place these initially, make sure that you are on the Move tool and you can hover over it. It will give you this icon, and it will also tell you precisely how many pixels that you are at. So that looks pretty good. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is choose my Rectangle Select tool, and I am going to go to View, down to Snap To, and I'm going to make sure that Guides is checked. So this is going to help you be precise and make your work a little bit cleaner. What it's going to do, I'll show you. We're going to start with that rectangle in the top left corner here. Click and hold, and you're going to drag it to the bottom right corner of that one section. And when you get close to your guide, it will snap to them so that it ends up exactly where you want it to be. Once you see your dotted line, you can go over here to Layer, New. You're going to choose Layer via Copy. Take a look at the Layers panel over here in the bottom right, and you'll see that it has created a new layer with just what was inside of that rectangle selection. If I turn off the visibility of the Me layer, there is my one corner. Okay, so this is currently my active layer. Really important that you come back to this background layer before you do it again, because if you tried to do it from here, it's going to tell you that the layer is empty. So I'll reselect this background layer. Make sure that my Rectangle Select tool is selected again. I'm going to do the same thing for the top middle section. And there's my second version. I can turn off my background, and I have 2 that operate independently from each other. Okay, so we're going to continue this for each section, and then I will come back toward the end and give you some more instruction. But for now, here we go. right, I have one layer for every section of my image. Now I can turn the guides off. I could turn the rulers off too, but they don't really bother me much, so I'm going to leave them on. Take the visibility off of the background. Doesn't look any different because all of these layers are matching up precisely, but you can see that here they all operate independently. I'm going to turn off all of my layers except for the very first one that I started with, and that's what we will start making transformations on. Okay, this is the only one visible. That's the one I'm going to be working on and making it active. Double-clicking on the layer itself will open your layer style dialog box. I'm going to go to the stroke here and check that box. If I double-click there, it will bring up all of these options that I can adjust for the stroke. So I definitely don't want it to be red. I think I'm going to choose maybe a white or a light gray for the stroke. And I am going to increase it. You can kind of see a preview right here. I'm going to increase it. 15 should be fine. And if I move this out of the way, you should be able to see a little bit of it around here, although this background doesn't make it set off very much. Let's choose a color that will stand out a little bit better. There we go. Now you can see that. So one thing I haven't done yet, I need to add a little bit of room around the canvas so that you can see we've got a little bit of like room to adjust this because we are going to be kind of tilting and rotating and we need some space to do so. Let me finish what I'm doing here though. I'll go back to a light gray. All right, so you have your stroke. Over here on the layer, if you click on that little arrow, it will open up the effects that you have applied to that layer. I can double click the stroke here and it will open up that dialog box again where you can change settings. So one thing that I've just changed is to position the stroke inside, which means that you can see a little bit of that gray over here now. If you change that to outside, you'll notice that it is outside of that rectangle selection that you originally made. So we're going to keep it on inside. Now you're going to move on to the next one down. You're going to make that same adjustment. Click on stroke. Double click here to change your color if you need to. Make sure you're inside position. It looks like it's defaulted to the same that I set for that top left one, which is exactly what I want. So you're going to do this for each one. All right, I'm going to leave this one off because I don't need it. I don't need to see it anymore. What the next thing I'm going to do is come over here to the crop tool, which is actually already selected. You know what? Actually, I'm going to make this the active layer after all, this bottom one that says me. Then go to the crop tool. And I'm going to come out a little bit extra to give myself some space here. Click and drag from the upper left down to the bottom right and try to keep that a uniform distance all the way around. When you release your mouse click, you'll see you might have to hit enter and it will give you the checkered gray and white background to indicate that there is no color information back there or anything. But that's exactly what we want right now because you're going to go all the way up to layer 1 again. You're going to go to edit, free transform. That will give you your anchor points here, which you can choose to rotate a little bit. You can pick it up and move it, and you can get creative with how you want to position each square. Hit enter when you're ready. Okay, so moving on to layer 2, make that the active layer, edit, free transform, and adjust this one as necessary. I would not suggest changing the sizes, just the rotations, maybe the placement. This one I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to move down to, that was layer 3. Yeah, I want to leave that one alone. So I'm going to come back down to here, check which one I'm doing first, make sure it's active, and then edit, free transform each one of these. the next thing we're going to do is give a fill color back here so that my little individual rectangles kind of stand out. And then I'm going to have you guys add a drop shadow, which I'm not going to show you how to do. I want you to pull that from other knowledge from our other projects. So this is a pretty simple step to wrap things up. I'm going to go to my paint bucket, which I already have selected here. I've got black for my active color, but if I choose black, then you wouldn't see a drop shadow. So I'm going to pick kind of a dark blue color. I'm going to add a new layer. Call this solid background. Okay. And now I will paint bucket that. There we go. It looks like my other squares here did not get rotated, so let's go back to those. We'll make that the active layer. And this layer is turned off, which is fine anyway, because that is just my solid version of it. Really, I could delete that at this point. But that's the end of this tutorial. Like I said, I want you to add your own drop shadow. And you could make this background layer the same color as this if you wanted. The shadow and this stroke will be enough to set it off. But happy creating, and I'm looking forward to seeing your projects.